this is Sky with FNN-Feminist News Network, the feminist news that's right for you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. We're in the Rainbow Room at night. Alright. So, what would I like to talk about today? I would like to talk about Brett Kavanaugh. And what's really happening? Is there still a chance? Yes, there is. What? Impeach him? Well, the Democratic Party screwed us yet again, which is another reason why maybe we need to go third party and put something behind it so all people can get what they want instead of getting a Trump or a Hillary again. So let's take a look at what Zakara on Democracy Now! Said, because I feel there's some real gems out there that are being said by some black women out there that need to be heard, because normally all you're gonna see is just some regular stuff that's out there that ain't even that don't even need to be heard. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at what she says, and then we'll discuss what's really going down.
Alliance for Quality Education.
This is bigger than Kavanaugh. I want to constantly say that. This is way bigger. As a black Muslim woman in society, I am clear that Kavanaugh will not only return Roe v. Wade, but many civil rights legislations that are impactful, many things that have been supportive of communities that look like me, he will overturn those as well. But what I also am clear is that as a black woman in society, knowing that the struggles that we've been up against, that we too can rise above this. We too can fight back.
All right. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Now, we can overcome this. And how? By going by the record, making sure we let everybody know that he was a part of Bush's mistakes, that he is close, if not a war criminal, for what he has done in regards to disavowing our privacy, and the fact that he does not like the First and Fourth Amendments, you know. And who says that, right? Another black woman that is the senior political editor at The Intercept on Real News. Now let's take a look at what this man said, Ellie, and on Joy's show, and it leads into what Briana Gray says on Real News. Now let's take a look at this and then discuss some more, because she's going to talk about what's really going on and what we need to do about it. And the fact is, I totally agree. She was already saying what everybody already really knows about this guy. And, you know, and maybe the sexual assault didn't matter. It did matter. But there was a lot of other factors that could have been put into it, and the Democrats could have fought a little harder in more ways. And you heard me talking about what's happening with the filibuster. They never did that at all. So let's listen and see what Brianna says after Ellie talks.
It's Ellie Mistel, editor of Above the Law, speaking about Democrats and their response, or lack thereof, to packing the courts. Check this out.
I have heard people on this network since Susan Collins did her Laertes thing, saying, oh, well, we can't impeach Kavanaugh because, I mean, we're not going to get sick. I don't care. Yeah. I want him impeached. If Democrats take back the House, I want impeachment trials by Martin Luther King Day. And to quote one of my favorite movies, Remember the Titans, I want the Democrats to blitz every down, all right? Because that's what the Republicans do. The Republicans do not fold. They fight. They fight when they win. They fight when they're going to lose. They fight when the odds are in their favor or not. They fight, and it's time for the Democrats to finally show that same fight about these issues, because if they don't, it's a generation. It's a generational change in terms of the rights of women, the rights of gays, and the rights of minorities.
On Friday, while all the news stations were tuned into the Senate votes, like everybody going one by one to the podium and giving their rationale for why they voted the way that they did, Democrats should have teed up all of the evidence, all of the witnesses that were not investigated by the FBI. Mr. Ramirez, for example, said there were something like 20 people that she suggested that the FBI should talk to, none of whom were actually questioned, not to mention Ford and Kavanaugh not being questioned. But the Republicans were smart insofar as they turned all of the evidence that's out there into what seems like a more evidentiary form. They got these people to sign affidavits testifying to the fact that the Devil's Triangle, for instance, was a drinking game. But they weren't able to find affidavits saying, for example, that Renata referred to a harmless, allusion to a friendship instead of what it really was, which was kind of making a jab at this woman's presumed, or this young girl at the time's presumed promiscuity. And I think the absence of affidavits there suggests that the Democrats could have gotten affidavits to the contrary and lined up all of their evidence and had that playing concurrently with the Senate hearings, and actually undermine Collins's claim, for instance, that it was more likely than not, that it wasn't more likely than not that Kavanaugh actually committed this attack, and kind of undermining the claim that this is a witch hunt by putting the evidence in people's faces, and the evidence about Ramirez, the priest, or rather the theologian at Princeton who says that he remembers being told about the Ramirez story contemporaneously. All of these facts have never been marshaled into one place and offered as an alternative to this FBI document that's still shrouded in secrecy. Democrats could have claimed transparency and used the media to their advantage. Instead, they simply kind of slunk away and said, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. But I think part of what's going on here is that Democrats persistently misidentify what's important to the American people, because we have ethics and what's right on our side persistently and are unable to communicate how our interests align with broader American interests in a satisfactory manner. Two stuff aside, Brett Kavanaugh is bad for the American people on class issues. This has been a whole contest of class warfare. Donald Trump defended Brett Kavanaugh on the basis that he went to Yale and lived a quote-unquote perfect life. This is a man who has decided cases that have paved the way for the Janus decision, who is pro-Citizens United, who is anti-labor and pro-big corporations. And that is a message that translates very well to the American people. And what a recent Demos study from earlier this year showed is exactly the kind of thing that animates so-called persuadable voters that sometimes vote in favor of liberal policies, sometimes in favor of conservative policies. What people respond to is the idea that the 1% is using and weaponizing race and gender and identity issues in order to get done what they want to get done, to preserve the status quo, to preserve wealth and resources for themselves. And when you look at the facts of Kavanaugh's relationship with the Bush family, the Bush whipping votes for Kavanaugh, Donald Trump's personal interest in having Kavanaugh on because of his decisions, making his decisions and his statements with respect to separation of powers that would end up protecting him should Trump come under the microscope legally as everybody expects. Then you start to put together a picture of this is about the elite versus the 99%. And you only have to look at the popularity of Bernie Sanders to this day to understand that that is a message that resonates. Now, why the Democratic establishment might not want to push that message? Well, it might be that certain members of the Democratic establishment are similarly aligned with the elites and are uncomfortable making those kinds of broad-based class arguments.
Exactly. This is what I was saying also. Why don't they just go ahead and deal with the class issues? Because that's what's stronger. The thing is, the Democrats are behind the class issues. They are all neoliberals in disguise, following behind a corporate line. And if they were real Democrats, they would push the class issue. They wouldn't send apologetic emails and tweets about how they tried, like they can't give up and worried about midterm elections, so they need to focus on something else besides letting this fool destroy everything that we've been doing and fighting for as women and feminists over the last 100 years. And in regards to civil rights and for black women everywhere, you know, this is wrong. And we need to be having another confirmation and redo this and find some illegitimacies, because there was a lot of them. Bernie Sanders was pointing some out in regards to that, you know, and we can focus on those if we lay and stack the evidence that's lined up against them and just keep putting it in their faces. You know this is right. Don't give up the fight. We're in an era of hate. That's why I say you must participate. More than just vote. Understand that if you don't participate during the era of hate, it can eventually cost you your fate. Now, if you agree, contact me at FeministNewsN at gmail.com. Don't forget to like my Facebook page, where I have all kinds of stuff and extra articles to keep you informed, let you know what's going on, what I'm doing, what I'm currently working on, and motivating music and other things like that. But subscribe to the YouTube channel, Feminist News Network, and watch the specials. We've hit 50, so we got Hawaii at Night special, Waikiki Tattoo Confessions. Oh yeah, some real pearls of wisdom coming up. And now you can find out what a 20-year master in the industry considers taboo and not to do. Watch it this weekend, starting Friday through Sunday, 72 hours, subscribers only. Yeah. So, let's make sure we get behind this. Don't think the march and the protesting is over with. We gotta still motivate these fool-ass Democrats into finishing up their work and doing what they need to do. Maisie, it was real cute. Feinstein, that was real good. Kamala, that was great. Corey, all right. But you need to finish this up. Agree with that? I know that's right. So, like I said, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Peace.